Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal Algérie. I'm your host, Meissa Doumaz. To the headlines. Chairing the National Conference on Startups, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman points out that the achievements made on the ground to support these fields enshrine the commitments of the President of the Republic. The new measures announced during these proceedings to give a new impetus to startups and incubators are appreciated by the project leaders. The Moroccan diaspora holds a rally in front of the Moroccan embassy in Paris to denounce the Makhzen exactions and to call for the release of political and opinion detainees. Those were today's headlines. First in our news, the second edition of the National Conference of Startups was held on Saturday at the International Conference Center, CEC, here in Algiers, chaired by the Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman and organized by the Ministry of Economy, Knowledge and Startups. The meeting witnessed the participation of advisors to the presidency, the mediator of the Republic, members of the government, representatives of public financial institutions, and project leaders. In his speech delivered during the opening ceremony of these proceedings, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman indicated that the achievements made so far are the outcome of the competence of the President of the Republic meant to set up a new economic model. Let's have a listen to him.
The policy adopted by the state attaches a great importance to quality switch over in the society due to the key role played by startups in the national economy, based on diversification, uprooting assistantship, dependency on hydrocarbons, and prices fluctuation on the international market. The President of the Republic has worked out a plan to get out of the traditional economic model. The new model relies on a diversified and productive economy where startups are a driving force, capable of enhancing development. We believe also that digitization is very important in such situation. We do believe that the Algerian youth can succeed thanks to their great potentialities, notably in terms of new technologies and the modern communication means, which they master perfectly.
The Prime Minister has visited an exhibition bringing together startups organized on the sidelines of the National Conference, highlighting the creativity of our youth and other innovators. Manal Ammari has more.
Innovation and Algerian creativity were honored during this exhibition on the sidelines of the National Conference on Startups. It was an opportunity for young exhibitors to show all the potential they have to offer in various fields. On this occasion, the Prime Minister reiterated the state's commitment to help and support project leaders by encouraging exhibitors to take interest in the tourism and mine sectors, given Algeria's potential in these areas. One of the project leaders present at this event said that the Prime Minister always accompanied them even though they're from an inner region, since they proved that there are young projects that can enhance the national economy. In response, the Prime Minister stressed that in Etablissement they should focus on two sectors, namely tourism and mines, because it contains unique Roman monuments and tourist features, and urged more citizens to visit. As for mines, it is a field that is considered in the President's program as one of the main vehicles for economic recovery, which should also be exploited. Another exhibitor said that their startup provides industrial machines that they will manufacture locally. The last batch is still awaiting financing, after which they will put their products on the national market in order to get rid of imports in this field. The Premier said that there are components manufactured in various provinces such as Sidi Bel Abbas and Al Alma, namely the Army institution that manufactures some segments which could help the startup to reach its goal. This was also an opportunity for the 20 startups present to express their concerns and propose their own solutions. We believe that it is necessary to review the public markets law since there are various public insurances that want to collaborate with us, but unfortunately the awarding of the contract by mutual agreement is not possible. We are hoping that we will reach a solution that suits all the parties involved, while making sure that citizens benefit from it as well. Concerning the mutual agreement, the Prime Minister said that they are the enemy of transparency and that it should be avoided in the new Algeria, since it eliminates competitiveness, which is necessary for the younger generation to unleash their potential and reach a better output ratio. 3 partnership framework agreements were signed between the Public Accelerator of Startups, Algeria Venture, as well as companies and organizations in the industry sector to accompany these project leaders. A national competition for the creation of an electronic platform for the Presidency of the Republic was also launched, which will be put at the disposal of the mediator of the Republic in order to receive citizens' complaints.
It is an event that made it possible to display the results of the activities of the sector and to announce new support mechanisms for startups and innovation in Algeria. Several new measures for the benefit of startups and incubators have been announced. Manal Ammari once again.
The Startup Conference Algeria Disrupt 2022 came after 2 years with more measures to encourage, accompany and finance the ecosystem of startups, during which many new decisions were announced, with facilitations to access the startup label and improve the regulatory framework for financing.
We made an assessment of all the advances in the field of startups, notably the modification of trade law, which will introduce a new legal form that is more flexible for startups and will simplify the revision of the regulatory framework for the exploitation of services by the Bank of Algeria, which will allow startups to export services and retrieve currencies in a more flexible way and improve investment and financing of startups in addition to the creation of a private investment fund.
To encourage the emergence of more startups, a new support system for the creation of startups and prototyping, the Quick Start, will be set up. The state will also cover the costs of patents and intellectual property within the National Institute of Intellectual and Industrial Protection.
We wanted to facilitate access to this label by automating the granting of this label to certain categories of people, especially those who create startups within the context of university research, those with an invention, patent or an intellectual property title in Algeria or in another country, those who spend at least 15% of their turnover on research and development. All these conditions will allow a maximum of people to access the label and create their startups.
Other novelties from the meeting include the improvement of the quality of e-payment by introducing a new legal framework that will facilitate online transactions.
Interior and Justice Ministers, respectively Kamal Beljoud and Abd al-Rashid Tibbi, arrived on Saturday to the Saudi capital Riyadh to participate in the International Defense Exhibition, which will be held until the 9th of March. This exhibition is an opportunity to review the latest technical developments in the various defense sectors. The removal of the bureaucratic obstacles hindering the economic projects, as decided by the government, has allowed the granting of operating permits for many investors. Boumerdas is a case in point. Leticia Sidqawi has the full story.
After obtaining its operating permit, this detergent production plant was finally able to launch its production, employing no less than 400 people. I am a recent graduate of the Institute of Industrial Safety Control. This company has allowed several young people in the region to have a stable job and also to put into practice everything we have learned during our course. Another investment that entered the activity phase thanks to the obtaining of the operation permit, this cosmetics production unit. The removal of bureaucratic obstacles has allowed this unit to create permanent job positions. We welcome the decision of the President of the Republic concerning the removal of administrative hindrances, which has allowed several economic operators to launch their projects. Our company has also been able to increase its production capacity, even export its products to 5 countries. Several other investments of this kind could finally launch their activity in the province of Boumerdès, thanks to the removal of bureaucratic and financial barriers, projects that contribute to local economic development and also reduce unemployment in the region.
The Algerian embassy in Kiev informs the Algerian nationals settled in Ukraine that it has been decided to suspend temporarily all its services as of today due to the unfolding security situation there. The embassy calls on all nationals to keep in touch with Algeria's embassies in Poland, Hungary, and Romania through the following numbers and addresses. The permanent representative of Algeria to the United Nations office in Geneva affirmed during the high-level session of the Human Rights Council that Morocco is manipulating the international public opinion and is hiding the reality about its military occupation in Western Sahara. Sualem also denounced the practices of the kingdom and the media blackout imposed on the demonstrations which continued for weeks in 50 Moroccan cities, calling for change and denouncing social injustice. Following the call launched by dozens of human rights associations active in France, a massive demonstration was held by the Moroccan diaspora in front of the Moroccan embassy in Paris to condemn the ongoing Moroccan exactions. More details with Rania Al-Bahri.
In response to a call from dozens of human rights associations active in France, a demonstration was held by Moroccans in front of the Moroccan embassy in Paris. The demonstrators denounced the repressive practices of El Makhzen and demanded the release of all political detainees in Moroccan prisons. We want to express our solidarity with everything that is happening in Morocco, especially the imprisoned journalists. We see that freedoms in Morocco are shrinking day by day, and this is scandalous. We have also come to denounce the complicity of the French power with the Moroccan regime. Distortion has become a main means of pressure from the ruling class on the Moroccan power. We are here to fight violence against women and the rule for limiting freedom of expression. Moroccan powers massively use criminal methods. Human rights activists are experiencing inhuman detention conditions. Many of them are in isolation that led to hunger strikes. The communist parties called for their immediate release. Association for the Defense of Human Rights condemned the repressive operations, especially with the continuation of authoritarian power, legal procedures, imprisonments of journalists, strict laws, censorship of the media and internet, accusing artists and citizens on the basis of trumped-up charges. We have been on the side of the Moroccan people for many years, against repression and against the regime. We denounce the policy of France, a policy that supports the Moroccan dictatorship. Kidnappings, torture, arbitrary arrests and convictions are all sanctions for journalists, employees, human rights activists or even citizens who demand social justice. The demonstrators remain determined to hold protests and to demand the release of political detainees, notably Omar Radi, Suleiman Raisouni, Toufiq Bouachrin and others. The reason why we are here is to back people who fight dictatorship. Macron, who claims to be liberal and democrat, supports the dictatorial regime. We were alongside fellow Moroccans near the embassy for the release of political imprisoners. This is absolutely shameful. France clearly supports Morocco. The demonstrators also denounced justice under the orders of an authoritarian regime.
In a letter addressed recently to the President Joe Biden, 11 members of the U.S. Congress expressed their concerns related to the policy of the United States in Western Sahara and the agreements on the sale of arms to the Kingdom of Morocco concluded between Washington and Rabat. The members of the Congress wish that the crucial role played by the United States in the conflict of Western Sahara allows the Sahrawis to express their legitimate rights to self-determination. Ahead of the Women's Day, we wrap up our news edition with this nursery of flowers in Tipaza province, a destination to visit by all the gentlemen to offer their female partners a flower on this eagerly awaited event. Leticia Sadqawi.
Creating his own nursery has always been a dream of Mohammed Sarhan. Thanks to his determination and creative ideas in the ornamental domain, his dream has become a reality. He has chosen Tipaza as a location for his floral project. Mohammed's passion goes back a long way to his childhood house where he grew up surrounded by plants and roses. On his first trip to Europe in 2002, he purchased plant seeds and began his adventure. Today, he continues to develop himself in the field as he possesses 50 books and is always conducting researches on the internet about plants, and has managed to grow different varieties that are now being exported, using several methods of development in cutting seedlings of seeds and especially natural hybridization. His wish today is to transfer his know-how through training in the hope of further developing this promising field.
Thanks, Leticia, for this ocean of flowers that we dedicate to all our viewers. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, we come to our news editions, and thank you for tuning into our program. Good night.